Okay, well, I'm back and I'm finally doing colour. Well, I've actually, each panel of purple probably took me 20 minutes and each purple of the turquoise probably took me 20 minutes as well. So this is like my final panel. But I suppose it just made me think about today about how, you know, things don't always go to plan. Oh, we're windy today. That's always fun when it's windy. I had intentions of the colours that I imagine this tend to be, and then when I started, I mixed colours, but I had to be sort of careful that I only mixed container upon container and not mixed exactly how I wanted it, because obviously I need to replicate it and continue on with the colour, the same colour. And it kind of, when you can't see it here, but it looks completely different in different lights. So when you're in the actual sunlight, it actually, you can see every single imperfection in it, every single tiny little piece of imperfection, and it looks more transparent and actually a lot darker. So it doesn't probably look, well, it looks nothing like this in the sun. This panel, I was hoping to be able to, because yesterday I was doing panels where you could actually see one was in the sun and one wasn't, and you could sort of really see the difference between the two. So it kind of made me start thinking about imperfections and just how things don't really go to plan all the time. So because it shows so many imperfections, I'm having to swirl every single bit of movement in this. The first panel I did with a bigger brush and a circular brush, but because I knew that I was going to be able to see the paint lines, and it looked terrible, so I had to go over it again. So one panel's a bit darker than the others, but every single little part of this needs to be swirled, because otherwise you can see it, and hope, well, at some point you'll be able to see what I'm referring to. At the moment from here it probably just looks like a completely solid colour to you, but it's actually not. And I just started thinking about how I have to accept that the colours aren't, they're probably darker than what I want them to be. I didn't want them to be pastel by any means, but they're probably a bit darker than what I wanted them to be. But I didn't realise how intense the colours were and how much white I'd need to add. So I hadn't bought enough, and I had to have them. They took ages to get here. Well, they came from Australia. They're Australian made in Victoria Paint Place, so that's okay. But they still took, because of all the delays and whatnot, they took to nearly a week to get here. So I wasn't going to put it off a whole nother week. So I'm just running with it, and I suppose it's a little bit like life. You know, you have all these, you know, plans and dreams and hopes, and you know, you sort of kind of in your mind you plan things out to be a certain way, and the reality is it just doesn't always turn out like that. And so it's, I suppose, about being flexible and just going, well, however this is meant to turn out is how it's meant to turn out. Whether it's what I had imagined in my mind or not are probably two totally different things, but it is what it is. And I think that it's a good lesson in life. I mean, I've been definitely learning those lessons in life over the last couple of years for me, and I feel like I've sort of come a long way with just letting things be, rather than being a control freak and trying to have things a certain way, or not a great way to live, because then you just live with disappointment, really. If you want things to be a certain way and they don't turn out, then you're just disappointed they don't turn out that way. So it's about just going, well, trusting in the universe and just believing what's meant to be will be. And I've always been a believer in what's meant to be will be. I've always been a believer in timing, and you know, how, you know, things just happen for a reason. And even though you don't always understand why they're happening, most of the time you'll eventually work it out. And if you don't, well, then it's just been all part of the path and the journey, really. So it's just a matter of going with the flow a little bit more. So amongst doing all these panels in my tent, I'm doing a lot of reflection on how I need to just run with things the way they are, let things be, and let things unravel the way they need to, and to just accept it for what it is. I mean, at this particular point in time, I'm feeling like I'm going to need to go back over every panel and try and do something to kind of fix them up a little bit, because I really don't want it to look amateur, and I feel like it's looking amateur, you know, with, actually one of my best friends, she popped her head in. She wasn't, you know, I know we're not meant to be socialising, but we went for a bike ride, so she just popped her head in to have a look, and she goes, oh, wow, it doesn't look like a kid's drawing, Sarah. I was like, I really freaking hope it doesn't look like a kid's drawing. That wasn't really the plan. So anyway, it's all just about, I've got to get these bottom lines. If you let them set, you'll notice in some of them, in some lights, you can sort of see that join, that initial cut in, which you kind of got to get the swirl on, get that moving. See, it's actually a really good day and time to be doing this, but usually I've been doing most of it over the Easter long weekend. I did it in the sunlight where I could actually see exactly, because you can actually fix it up and get it how you want it, because you can see the light coming through and you can make sure you haven't doubled over bits, and if you have, you can sort of blend them out a little bit. But here right now it's just literally looking like a solid colour. So anyway, so here's to just seeing it all unravel the way it's meant to and however it's meant to be, and just enjoying and appreciating it.